Is that you pouring whiskey, Jason?
It is me pouring whiskey, Joshua.
Oh, look at that. I haven't even introduced the podcast episode, and you're already pouring whiskey.
I'm just killing time. On video.
On video. I may as well introduce us.
Might as well. Come this way.
Hello.
Hello.
And at your age.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. This is Joshua Hatton with One Nation Under Whiskey Extra Edition. I'm joined today, and I'm joined, as always, by the wonderful, the effervescent.
Right here.
Right? That's effervescent on the palate, if I remember correctly.
It's effervescent on the nose.
Yeah. You are not effervescent on the palate. I don't know where it's going with that. But anyway, the dear Mr. Jason Neal, Patrick Harris, Johnston Yellen. How is Bridgewater, Virginia on this beautiful October 8th?
80 Fahrenheit, 30 centigrade. I
Right.
think that's what temperature was the last time we recorded. We've seen both of those previously. So yeah, it's going well. Blue sky, white, fluffy clouds, if there are any. Easy peasy. Works very well with what's in the glass. How is old Connecticut?
It got warm again. It was nice and getting chilly. It was in the 60s. It was sweater weather. I love sweater weather. And it was
as we sit here in polo shirts and t-shirts.
But it was you know what I love, Jason? I mean, my two favorite seasons are spring and autumn. And here it is. We're getting really close to peak leaf peeping season in beautiful Connecticut.
It's what season?
Leaf peeping.
Leaf peeping. Yeah, the people that I swear at here in the Shenandoah Valley for blocking traffic and making it harder to get into national parks.
But we're getting there. I'm seeing a lot of yellows and oranges and red, and we're getting there. It's nice. Yeah, and like you, I'm starting to see license plates I don't normally like to see in my state. Like, get off my fucking roads, you goddamn son of a bitch. Yeah, you're the same.
We're just trying to look at the leaves.
I know.
Fuck your leaves.
And Horsey rode in on.
All right. What brings us here today?
So, you know, here it is. We're another month in. Somehow it became October. Some people would say Rocktober, and actually some people, I heard this the other day on my local rock and roll radio station. Now that Ozzy Osbourne has passed, God rest his soul, some people would call it Oztober. You saw that coming. Our listeners and viewers saw that coming.
For all our listeners down there, I apologize for the Northern Hemisphere.
It's another month, and this is a Single Cask Nation news focused episode, and so we're talking about October releases, but there's a special twist to the October releases, and the twist is, Jason, it has been 7 years. 7 years since we had, a packaging update. This is our old packaging, right? All of our nation members and all of our viewers, and of course our listeners can't see this, right? But if you close your eyes, do not close your eyes if you're driving, by the way. But if you close your eyes, you kind of have an understanding of what our online exclusive bottlings look like, and it's got that grayish wooden label on it,
yeah,
right?
The wood grain, man.
Yeah, right. Which was your brainchild, right? I remember you coming up with this. You did, yeah.
This dates from 2017 when we introduced US retail, and we introduced a new livery for the online bottles. And yes, when that wood grain showed up, I thought it told a wonderful story around the single casks that we were out in the world selecting.
Yeah.
And I think it's proudly told that story since 2017. However, we sit here in 2025.
Yeah. 2025. So I guess that's really 8 years. It's been 8 years since we've had
That was how I subtly corrected you on the live recording.
listeners,
I
viewers.
believed you could pull this off.
Yeah. Did you see what I have to deal with? Right?
You
For the past.
you can lead Joshua to water, but you can't make him do math.
So much for confidence in numbers. That's why I changed my name to Miami Vice Grips.
That to me was always the joke about confidence in numbers.
So what we're taking such a long time to get around to is we, starting with our October online exclusive releases, have new packaging. And so we're releasing 3 new bottlings, and all 3 bottlings are going to show up in new packaging. Should I bring the bottle up onto the screen, or should
Before
we
you
wait?
do,
Yeah. Okay, good.
I would like to
Go ahead.
add on
Go ahead.
that where the wood grain
Hmm.
style was telling the story of the single casks we were selecting, I think this new label tells the story of the nation and
Thank you.
tells the story of those who have, in some cases, supported us since 2011, 2012, those who have discovered us along the way, those who stepped into this realm a month ago, right? At Clinlish, Benria, Codder Springs did fantastically well. The response was awesome. And there were a fair few new names. And so people are joining the nation. I think we actually put out the call in one of these. If you're a long-time member, introduce somebody to the nation, show
Mhm.
them the nation, show them what we're doing in the nation. And I think this new livery starts to tell the story of a nation. And with that said, I would open the door to a reveal.
Ta-da!
That is beautiful. And I don't know if people can tell. Obviously, if you're listening, you cannot tell, but please do go look this up on YouTube when you're not driving. But the top, I would say 2/3 of that label, the yellow portion with the red
Mhm.
squiggles,
Mhm.
that is showing you active members, participants, supporters of the nation.
Mhm.
And what a celebration. If you've seen Joshua at a tasting, Jess at a tasting, Jason at a tasting, you will have seen the new banners. And the new banners are a riff on the new label.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we are really giving back to the nation. We are waving to the nation. We are thanking the nation. Really tremendous, tremendous stuff. And those will be ever evolving caricatures. So
Yeah, because those are actual real nation members. If you look closely, those are, like you said, these are the people
I
who
was going to
have
say,
been
you
with us.
started to worry me there. Like, didn't I just say that 2 minutes ago? I was like,
No,
okay,
I
I
mean,
did. Okay, thank you.
you did. I
Okay.
really want to stress that there have been some people who have come up to, to the stands that we've been at and said, "It is that me? Is that my face?" And yes, these are real nation members. These are it really is so important to us, that these aren't just random caricatures, and we're adding to this, like you had said, and it was so funny, when we put these banners up, and you hear this comment, and I've heard it a couple times, and I think you had mentioned it as well. When we talk about the nation, uh, um, a phrase that has been parroted back to us, people saying, "I'm the nation. I am the nation," right? It's not just, this is the nation. I am the nation. People are really taking ownership of this, and we really wanted this packaging to highlight that. And so that was point number one. And point number two, something that we fought with since 2017, since we've launched a retail range, even though the packaging between retail and online has always been different, right? A different
Yeah,
labeling system,
very different, very
quite
different.
clear, different labeling system, at least to our minds, quite clear. We've always found ourselves explaining, oh, this one's for retail, this bottling's an online exclusive. It's been a constant story that we've been telling for now 8 years. If you look closely, right under the word Single Cask Nation in a red banner, it says right on there, online exclusive. It's exclusively available online, right? So there you go. It tells you right off the bat, you can only get these bottlings online.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
And, for nerds like us, geeks like us, the cast details remain, right?
yeah,
One of the things we really like about the redesign is we're not burying the age statement, right? I think as you cast your eye down the center of that bottle, you're seeing the name Single Cask Nation. You're seeing online exclusive. Then you're seeing the distillery, in this case, Linkwood. Then you're seeing the age 13. So a pretty clear Linkwood 13-year-old with
mhm,
the cast details bouncing off of that. And cast details remain important to us. Still a thing we talk about, still a thing we put front and center, still the difference between this Linkwood and a retail Linkwood and the Barrel Thief Linkwood and one of Jesse's global Linkwoods, right?
right.
So the cask is the point of difference here. That's, as an independent bottler, that's something we still thoroughly enjoy talking about.
And then the other thing that we brought on, and we'll talk about it a little further as we go on with this episode, because we're going to be tasting 3 whiskeys in this episode here, is in our retail bottlings, we did have a color coding system, right? Where orange was Speyside, green was Lowland, light blue was Isla, and so on and so forth. But we never had that with our online exclusives. And so if you look at this bottling, right at the bottom of the label, you have that orange strip, which right on it says single malt Scotch whiskey. Once we get to one of our bottlings, I think it's our last one we're going to be talking about, there's a different color because we're talking about a whiskey from a different region. And so it's just a good way to really, as you're purchasing bottles, and thank you for purchasing bottles, as you're putting these on your shelves, you'll more easily be able to tell them apart. There's just more for you to look at, more to grab your eye. So when you have people over and you're sharing bottles and you're tasting, you can more easily grab that bottle off your shelf, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to see your face. There's your face, Jason. Hey, so we are tasting our Linkwood 13-year-old. And this one is all first fill bourbon, all 13 years in first fill bourbon, this one.
You talk about things that you hear from the nation as you travel around. Linkwood and fresh bourbon is something people are talking about in the nation.
Uh-huh.
Just bright, crisp, clean, fruity, delightful.
Mm.
The grain is present. The cask is present.
It's you know me, I always get this lovely when I get citrus, especially with Linkwood, I always get this sort of like grilled lemon pinwheel going on, and to me that's just pure Linkwood.
Yeah. Little powdered sugar, a little confectioner's
Mm.
sugar happening on the nose there. That's just really beautiful. It's nice. I was just in Seattle a few weeks ago doing a
Alright.
tasting at the Barrel Thief and having a really great time. And under new ownership for the last couple of years.
Mm.
Um, but people still talking about the Barrel Thief Linkwood. And that was a nice ex bourbon, clean, fresh, fruity Linkwood. So absolutely more of the same from the distillery. I would also say for people who have joined the nation in the last month or couple of months, a thing we've been talking about, Joshua, that came from you, when you'd asked the question, is Linkwood Speyside's Kalila, right?
Right.
It's so consistent. You can absolutely set your watch by it.
Mhm.
And it is such delightful, delightful whiskey.
This really is a whiskey for sharing. You cannot upset anyone with this linkwood.
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's just so solid. It really is. I'm going to go back to my earlier statement when I was calling you effervescent. This really is
Right,
effervescent
right.
across the palate. It's a bit more malt forward on the palate with this one. I know in
Mm.
previous casks, it's been a bit more fruitier. I find this one to be a bit more patisserie kind of driven, more cereals. There's some croissant going on there. Like there's a breadiness, which I quite like.
Yeah, for me, I agree with the
Mm.
maltiness. I also get a spiciness, like a
Mm,
powdered ginger, even a little ground turmeric happening on the palate as well. The cask just shining through on
oh,
that
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
It's really a nice balance,
Oh man.
right? You've got the spirit and all those lemony, bright, sugary qualities, but
Mm,
then that grounding spice from the cask. Do you get any of the vanilla and the caramel that you'd expect from a fresh bourbon cask?
right. I mean, it always makes itself known. I mean, this is the beautiful thing about Linkwood. Linkwood and bourbon. Linkwood has such a strong presence to it that I think you can let it age in bourbon 25, 30 years, and Linkwood will still make itself known and hold up to that cask. And you will get that vanilla. You will get all of that caramel coming on. And it is so my long answer, my short answer is yes, it's there, but it's perfectly balanced out
Yeah,
with Linkwood's own character, right?
yeah. Yeah, I was just double checking the strength on this one. I was again looking at the oils, obviously the mouthfeel,
Hmm.
61.5% alcohol.
Oh, I didn't remember that. I mean, I'm going off my little sample
Yep,
bottle here, which
yep,
doesn't
yep.
have the ABV on it, and so I mean, I'm getting a
Mm.
tingliness on the palate, but that's not a heat thing. That's that natural sort of like bright, sort of peppery thing going on that we quite often get
Yeah, for me,
from
that's some of
Mount
that
Bourbon.
powdered ginger that I'm talking about.
There you go. Right? Yeah. Mm.
Mm.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, man. Yeah. Right.
I'm just thinking about what you just said a moment ago, right? Someone comes over to your house. You're like, here's where we start tonight. Here comes something that's going to be the lovely point of transition
Yeah.
from where your day's been going to where your evening is going to go.
Yeah, exactly. This sets
It's
the table.
it's
Right.
absolutely a move I make with my friends. That is such a nice starter. Gosh.
Yeah. Right. This is what you pour when you had a shit day. Right.
Do you know what though? This is what you pour when you've had a good day as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is very true.
Mm.
Oh man, no
And I would
complaints.
say this, talking about
Mm,
September,
mm,
I would say for anybody who purchased and liked our Clinlish, this is in that wheelhouse. This is
mhm.
absolutely to your palate.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, doesn't have the waxy that we clearly get on the Clinlish that you
No.
and Morgan explained on a prior episode,
Mhm.
but it has the bright, it has the fresh, it has the fruit, but it's got the malt, then it's got the ginger, and it's got the peppery. Like this is really sits in the wheelhouse with that Clinlish.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let me bring up this bottle
Oh,
again, and I'm going to
nice.
bring up the price. Right. We always talk about $10 per year, so this is a 13-year-old. It should be 130, but look at that, 125 a bottle on
Yeah,
this one. So
yeah,
we really did well on this one, especially given the fact that, this is during a time when we're dealing with tariffs and we are absorbing the 10% tariffs on that. We really stuck to our guns and 125 on that one.
yeah.
So
Cracking price.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Whoo.
I cheated. I pressed on very quickly for people who are joining us on the YouTubes here.
Yeah.
We made a design change on the capsule there, the top of the
Oh,
bottle.
yeah, yeah,
Instead of
yeah.
that SCN being on the edge where it can actually start to get a little creased or turned, we moved it up to the top of the bottle. But obviously, in a side profile like this, you can't see the top of the bottle. But that's where you will see that mark. And when you take off the top of the bottle and you go,
Mm.
whoop, and you discard that, the top of the cork, the top of the bar top, has the SCN logo on it
Look
as
at that.
well.
Yeah.
So I love that idea of when you remove something to access the whiskey, you still have the graphic that you just removed to
Yep.
access the whiskey.
Yep.
I
Yep.
like that a lot.
You know what I love about that little SCN logo? If you step back and you just look at the outer shape, that's a cask,
That's it. It is a
right?
cask. It is.
And our little star in the center shows you we have approved that
That's it.
cask. There you go. Boom.
Yeah, I love it. I
Oh,
love the stories it's telling. That's
yeah.
that's what we've been about for 14 years. It's the storytelling around whiskey.
Jason,
Ah,
this is our next. We got another space cider in our glass, right?
yeah.
This is Spaytober. No?
That sounds like something Bob Barker would say at the end of The Price is Right. Um, I'm sorry if you're outside the US, that makes no sense to you, but
Yeah,
trust
that's
me,
true.
people in America are loving it. Um,
Are they?
100%.
Okay, all right.
Um, Anybody who likes Oztober is loving Spaytober, and a Bob Barker reference. So when you were still with Impex,
Mhm,
Glenallachie came into the US through Impex.
correct.
Billy Walker took this over. Billy Walker sourced Impex as his importer of record. You were then responsible for telling the Glenallachie story.
Mhm.
What, for the nation, would you say are three key elements of the Glenallachie story?
Oh, man. Well, this is a tough well, here's
Feet
the
to the
thing.
fire. I'm not going to let you go to five. This is three. Three. Three.
Well, can I lead with
1A.
what I'll lead with is the 3 key things that we talked about when it came to Glenallachie is what we don't talk about when it comes to our
Oh,
Glenallachie,
okay. Point of difference. I like it. I'm an independent bottler. You've got my attention.
right? Because you're dealing with Billy Walker. And think about Billy Walker circa 2005, 2006.
Mhm.
And he purchases Glendronach, right? And that is Sherry Bomb, right? And he purchases Ben Riach, and he absolutely revives that distillery as well. And that becomes a bit more varied, but also a bit sherry forward. When he then sold, and of course he bought Glenglass as well. When he then sold those distilleries off and decided, you know what? Sure, I made money, but I'm not willing to retire. I'm going to purchase Glenallachie. He decided I have this blank canvas of a distillery no one has heard of because Glenallachie never had its own single malt to speak of. Is always a distillery that produced malt to go into some sort of a blend. He said, "I'm going to show Glenallachie as a sherried malt."
Mm.
So almost every malt, it's 8-year-old, it's 12-year-old, it's 15-year-old, 21, 25, so on and so forth, was always sherry forward with a little bit of wine cask, some Rioja, some other bits and bobs. But rarely, rarely, rarely did you find it in what we're doing here, which is starting its life off about 7-ish years in bourbon, and then the final 5 years or so in new charred oak.
Yeah.
Like here, where a sherry cask is going to take over a bit more and sort of be in the limelight. Here, we're letting the casks sort of maybe not step back, but sort of frame the Glenallachie spirit a little more. So I would argue what Glenallachie, what Billy Walker did with Glenallachie is he said, I want to show you what I think Glenallachie does best through the lens of sherry casks.
Mm.
And I want to show you my expertise in blending. And you know what? He is an expert blender. He is a goddamn master. There's no doubt about it. And so that's just that. And so when you and I selected this, I think one of the things that I had in the back of my head was, as someone who did wear an Impex hat, was that we did get to do what we wanted to do. We get to zag when Glenallachie would zig.
Yeah.
We get to show that side of the distillery that those who have fallen in love with Glenallachie since it's become a single malt starting in, what was it,
Oh
2018.
God, and it's crushing in America.
It's absolutely
Crushing.
crushing in America. We get to show people a side of Glenallachie that they simply don't get to see, right?
It's amazing
Yeah.
the enthusiasm around Glenallachie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was talking previously about doing those 7 master classes at the Virginia Scottish Games, and I poured the Glenallachie 8-year-old, and people were bananas for it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
People absolutely loved it, and people knew about it coming into the room, right? Glenallachie has really, really done well
Mhm.
in the US, certainly under Impex, certainly with the backing of Billy Walker,
Mhm.
and I'm really excited to get this one out into the nation.
I
Dare I?
poured the rest of my bottle. Yeah, I see you poured a lot less than I did. I poured the rest of my little bottle, so.
Dare I ask if we have bottled Glenallachie before?
So this is our first ever
Look at
Glenallachie.
that.
You just don't find it.
Look at
So
that.
this so Jason, this is the other thing that I wanted to point out. When Billy Walker purchased Glenallachie, he spent a fair amount of time purchasing back a good
Mhm.
number of casks that were out there, right? So you just don't find a lot of Glenallachie. You don't.
Oh man. Yeah, so you were saying 5 years or so in new charred oak on
Yeah,
this one after the first 7 or so in ex-bourbon?
right about there. And I think this was more like a heavy toast medium char. So I don't remember the number char, but it's not a heavy char. It's more
Yeah.
focused on that toasted oak, which is kind of similar back to Billy Walker, right? It's kind of similar to the Ben Riach that we released
Mm.
last month, even though
Mm.
that was Chinkapin, that was heavy toast
Mhm.
medium char, right?
Mhm. Mm. Pouring that for people in the last month.
Yeah, yeah,
People walk in the door knowing Clynlish.
yeah,
Pulling out that Ben Riach is done fantastically
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Holy moly. Um, this has got like such a subtle spice happening on the nose that then transfers to the palate. I know when we were selecting it, we talked about cigar wrappers, we talked about cedar boxes, right? There's also a bit of sweet cinnamon happening in there as well. Like that toasted oak
Yeah.
is clearly there, clearly present. But I'm curious for you,
Yeah.
and I love what you're saying about Billy with Sherry and Glenallachie. How do you describe the Glenallachie base spirit?
Oh, it's really quite malty. It's
Hmm.
really cereal forward. There's a sweetness, there's a base like brown sugar sweetness, underlying
Ah,
sweetness to
okay.
it, which I really like, which I
Ah,
think goes well
yeah,
with
yeah,
that
yeah,
that humidor kind of thing going on, and that like cigar wrapper thing going on, right? That
yeah.
dark kind of sweetness coming through. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. You say that. I was attributing some of that kind of brown sugar quality to the cask. That's interesting hearing that that's spirit driven.
Right, which is why I think Glenallachie goes so well with sherry, even though it's lighter spirit than Glendronach was.
Sure.
Um, it still works really well with sherry because it has that underlying sort of brown sugar sweetness and that malty backbone to it, right?
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
I get
yeah.
it being a little nutty on the palate, a little dark chocolate.
Oh, I'm still loving this nose. I haven't gone to to tasting it yet because I'm also getting this sort of like this almost like pecan pie, or maybe it's like pecan and like maybe crushed cherries. Like it's this real deep, almost heavy sweetness going on here.
But I think it's important to say heavy sweetness that doesn't become sherried.
Mm,
And I
mm-mm.
think that's the key for me here is it's got qualities that I like from sherry. However, it's the heavy toast medium char delivering those notes in a slightly different way
Yeah.
that interacts with the spirit in a slightly different way.
Yeah, this
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 is
there's no sherry around this, right? This
no,
doesn't
no,
come close to any of the sherry-like notes.
no. I
Um,
just wanted to be clear when you started talking crushed cherries, I didn't want people's minds to start going in a sherry fruit direction there.
mm.
Because this for me is the dark chocolate, it's the subtle spice, it's the cigar spice, and definitely that brown sugar that you're discussing.
Well, now that you mentioned the dark chocolate, as I sip this, it's more like the cherry cordials, right? With the cherry in the dark
Mm,
chocolate, because there is that dark chocolate thing going on. Oh man.
yeah, and I would throw in if you were somebody who enjoyed the Ben Riach in September, the Glenallachie in October. Like I really want to. I'm even kind of looking around my desk to see if I've got any. I really want to do a side by side with the September Ben Riach and October Glenallachie.
Yeah, I think I would argue the Glenallachie is likely, excuse me, likely a bit more of a heavy hitter than the Benriach is.
That's why I want to do the side by side.
Yeah,
Doing
exactly,
that, doing
right.
that from memory is always tough.
Mm,
Hmm. Sorry, we're
yeah,
just over
yeah,
here
yeah,
grunting now.
yeah,
We
yeah,
don't
yeah.
sound like
Mm.
Tim Allen hosting. Gosh, Home Improvement. Yeah.
Because you know what? There's what 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 I'm getting in here that I didn't really get so much in the Benriach is this chocolate. Look at you. Look at you, Jason. If the listeners can't see this, but Jason absolutely just emptied his glass. From nose to palate to finish, there's chocolate, 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 which you didn't get on the Benriach. And that's why I say it's just sort of a darker sweetness coming through. And on the Benriach, it was a second fill toasted Chinkapinot cask.
Mm.
3 years. And with this is first fill, heavy toast, medium char, around 5 years. So you just have a bit more wood influence going on, making it a slightly heavier experience. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think it's
Yeah,
worth keeping that in mind when
yeah.
one does the inevitable side by side.
Yes, which you must. You must.
All right,
Maybe
put
we'll
down
make
your
a bundle that looks like that, Jason. Who knows?
put down your heavy pour and pull up a banner for this
Yes, okay, let me
because
banners,
I've poured
banners.
the third whiskey.
Alright. So there's the picture of the bottle again, and it is a 12-year-old Glendronach and Glenallachie, and so here you are, 12 years old, new charred oak. Banner says 5 years extra mature. It's just
Yeah,
about that,
yeah, yeah.
and yeah, $120.
And actually, yeah, just like I had done with the the Linkwood, I was looking up, 58.6%
Okay,
alcohol
okay,
on this one.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah. What a belter!
easy accessible. You
What a
didn't spend a
belter!
second thinking about the strength on that.
Man, man, oh Manischewitz. Yeah. Okay.
Oh
So
boy.
we're pouring this charmer. Oh, Jason, a few months ago, you made a comment and you threw out this tease, and you thought it was the right tease, but it was the right tease for the wrong bottling. And now this tease that you threw out months ago is a tease for the correct bottling that we're about to nose and taste right
I,
now.
I love that one person is following along with what you're saying, and his name is Joshua Hatton. All right.
All
All
right.
right. Opens on that
Yeah.
freshly steeped barley,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, let's do
Very
the notes
much,
first. Yeah.
very much present.
There was a
That
note.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
that is expected. That is anticipated. Yeah.
There was a note in here that I remember us getting that I'm still getting, and it was baseball card chewing gum. And I want to show you something,
Yep.
Jason.
Oh,
I did a tasting a couple of weeks back for the Major League Baseball, and they gave me, look at this. They gave me a Major League Baseball. It matches my shirt. Look at that MLB Home Run Derby. So this note matches my baseball. Oh no, it doesn't match that, but yeah, it doesn't match the smell of this baseball, dear listener. But yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that chewing gum, that baseball card chewing gum is so spot on. Candy necklaces is on offer, and then a little bready, right? That little bit of barley, that bit of green kind of quality with a
mhm.
little bit of the yeast around the edges.
But in a like a sweet way, right? Like you think
Yeah,
about so yeast, I think sometimes when I use the word sharp, you say, "Ooh, that could kind of scare people."
yeah.
I sometimes think the word yeast can scare people, but let's
Oh,
remind folk
shame.
that yeast gives you so much of the flavor in
Oh,
bread,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeast gives you so much of the flavor in your New England IPAs, right?
Oh my gosh.
And so on. So let's not be scared of that word.
No.
It just
Gosh, the
brings up
yeast
so much.
that goes into knockdoo, this is not knockdoo, the yeast that goes into knockdoo sits in solution at the distillery and tastes like yogurt, right? Like
Yeah, right?
it's sweet and unctuous
Yeah.
and just waiting to deliver beautiful fruit notes to the
Mm,
knockdoo fermentation. But again,
yeah.
that's just an example of yeasty. So definitely right. So there it is on the nose. Like, right, I've got it. I'm understanding. I'm getting it. Little fruity, little
Yeah.
bready. Definitely malt character in here.
Yeah.
Go ahead and taste it.
Yeah. Okay.
Give it a
Oh
wee.
yeah.
Give it a
Yeah.
wee sip.
You go first, Jason. You go
Yeah,
first because
please, please.
all right. Well, okay. Here we go. On to the taste, everybody. Here we go. Jason took a sip. I'm gonna take a sip, and mm, 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 mm.
Whoa! Wait a second. I'm getting something on the palate that I did not get on the nose.
And something we should not get from this distillery at all. Not
Oh my
one
gosh.
bit. Do you remember that? Do you remember selecting this cask and
100%.
putting this liquid in the
I,
mouth? You're like, what the fuck?
That was completely unexpected.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. It's grilled peaches, it's toasted marshmallow. I'm also getting grilled pineapple on this right
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah. The
there's
grilled
a
pineapple.
big, bold fruitiness, but there's also that lovely, clear char and smoke. Holy
Mm.
moly. This is also one of those ones that now makes me think of Shane Armstrong from Westland when on a previous episode he talked about acceleration in malts. And this is one where the nose is idling, right? You're just warming your engine. You're just sitting at a stop sign or a red light. And then the palate on this takes off, turns a corner, takes you up a hill. Like, holy moly. That's expressive.
Oh. Oh, and you got this toasted marshmallow that starts to get just a bit charred. It's just right when it hits perfection. Just,
A little bit of band-aid, would you say, on the palate?
Yeah, a little bit, right? There's just a little bit of Isla goodness without this being an Isla whiskey, right?
Oh, I'm even getting a little bananas Foster as it transitions
Oh,
into the finish.
bananas James Foster.
I mean, always, always, always. Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. But here's what I like, and we had this conversation in selection. What I like about that smoke appearing on the palate is that it heightens the fruit. It develops the
Mhm,
sweetness.
mhm.
The bready becomes warm toast now, right? With charred crusts on it. Could almost become a bread pudding where the little crusts that
Oh,
stick above
yeah,
get a
yeah,
little bit of char on them. So it's,
yeah.
and I think that's where talking about the toasted marshmallow makes sense. There's a creaminess to this whiskey that is then heightened by the char, by the lift of the smoke. Oh my gosh. Well, you did say this was going to come from a different region.
Mhm.
And this is going to have, dare we say, a green stripe along the bottom of the label.
Should I hit the button?
100%. If you're watching along,
All right, and here it comes. Here's the big reveal. Oh,
oh my
all the
gosh,
listeners right now
I
are being
know.
like, "Why can't I watch this?"
That's it.
Here
Park
it
your
comes.
car, open
Yeah,
the YouTubes.
right here it comes, and phew.
There we go. Completely unexpected from Auchentoshan. Completely out of the blue. I will say this though, and again, this is what we said during selection. Once you taste the smoke
Mhm,
and you return to the nose,
mhm,
you get the smoke on the nose.
mhm.
But before you've ever tasted it, the smoke is hiding.
Yeah,
The
it's totally
the
hiding.
smoke is in some corner of your glass that your nose isn't getting to. A 13-year-old Auchentoshan. The cask on this, Joshua?
So the interesting thing is the cask on this, and it is it's extra matured for just about 4 years. When we got the paperwork, all the paperwork said was final 4 years in a second fill bourbon barrel. And that's what intrigued us about this, that the finishing cask was second fill bourbon. Said, why would that be a finishing cask? Usually, a finishing cask is a more active cask, but because it was that, said, "Ooh, that must be interesting. Something about that might be cool." So we got the sample in, and then we went through this whole process that we've just described to everybody, and that was the reason for the finishing cask. It was an ex-peated cask. Absolutely wild.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it's the fruit just lingers, the heavy fruit, the kind of the complex sweetness of the fruit
Mm.
is what lingers.
Mm.
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
read this is so we used to have truncated labels. I'm sorry, truncated notes on our old label. But now we actually put truncated notes on our website. And you'll find this
yep,
on our website once we put this live up on there. Can I read this
yeah.
out
Go for
loud?
it.
Yeah. So this says what in these this is all you, Jason, because I don't really use this word, though I should. What a humdinger from this lowland distillery. The nose suggests grain and yeast, while the palate is unmistakably smoky. The finish demonstrates toasty marshmallow complexity, an Auchentoshan you'll be reaching for, as well as surprising your friends with. Oh,
and that's the thing, right? That's where we started with this Linkwood, right? When you bring this into your house and your friends come over, you say, "Hey, let me show you where we're going to start tonight."
mm,
At some point, you're going to say, "Let me pour something you haven't had before,"
yeah, mhm,
and that's a smoky Auchentoshan with all this grilled fruit.
right.
It's yeah, you're gonna really surprise people, or maybe you're gonna play the game that Joshua, myself, and Jess play with various people, which is I'm gonna pour something for you. I'm not gonna torture you, but I'll give you three guesses as to what it is. And then three guesses come and go and they've got no chance. Then you make the grand reveal and really surprise them.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
yeah, we had to bottle this. If we're curating really interesting casks for the nation, it doesn't get more interesting than this. This is an absolute head turner
mhm,
and really a head scratcher. I think you tell a story around the cask there, Joshua, that starts to put some leaves on the branches, but this isn't expected from this distillery.
no, no,
13-year-old Auchentoshan
no, not at
with
all.
a smoky palate.
Speaking of
Cracking.
13 years, it's 13 years old. So therefore, it's $130 a bottle. And again, it's a peated barrel, about 4 years extra matured in that secondary cask. So, yeah, right.
Good stuff. Great stuff. 3 crackers again this month.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really proud of all these casks. I mean, obviously we always are, we always have been, but it's being able to reintroduce Ben Riach last month, to bring forth a Klein Leash last month, and we haven't done in years. And then this month, our first Glenallachie, an Auchentoshan in a peated cask, a spotless linkwood that is just made for sharing, and now this new packaging, which puts the nation front and center. We've been talking about it since 2011. Here we are. We've been talking about the nation. You are the nation. Here you are, front and center. You're on our bottle. This is what it's always been about. We said it from the beginning. Like, why did we create this? We wanted to create a global community. Here you are on the bottle.
100%. Hundo. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Like and subscribe.
So before we say like and subscribe, I don't remember if we mentioned this from the outset. These bottlings will be launched. The target date is Thursday, October 23rd at 12 noon Eastern at singlecasknation.com. Remember, we said these are online exclusives. If there are any changes to that date, obviously we will let people know, but that is the target. October 23rd, singlecasknation.com, 12 noon Eastern. Tell your friends, tell your loved ones, and also, like Jason had said, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's little buttons below and there's bells below. There's all sorts of things. And please send us emails, info@singlecasknation.com. And Jason, you had mentioned this before. We're seeing new names, new nation members coming in and purchasing bottles, which is great. We've got new friends, and I love that. Right?
Yep.
New people into the fold.
Yep. No, it was always built to be a growing community, and continue to grow it in 25 is really wonderful. So thank you to everybody, right? Everybody in the nation, everybody celebrating the nation, everybody representing the nation. We're still here. We're still sourcing casks. We're still selecting some real humdingers, the word of today's episode.
Love it. All right. Well, cheers to you. Yeah.
3 empty glasses.
3 empty glasses. Well, this is the rest of my Glenallachie, so.
Down the hatch.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.